From the Alvin and Rosalie Sarachek studio, PBS Kansas presents Ageless Enthusiasm. Coming up on this Ageless Enthusiasm, I speak with Susie Devon, a spiritual and energetic health facilitator on mastering self-care.
We can give more love and compassion to those around us when we give it to ourselves. And so that starts with how we take care of ourselves, the multiple dimensions of self-care.
I also speak with a couple who are committed to helping others through natural movement and support.
We found that there's a lot of people out there struggling. They don't know where to go and what to do to keep moving throughout life.
It took me from being someone who was just passionate about fitness to realizing that my purpose was to help people heal pain.
I'm Mindy East. All that's coming up on this episode of Ageless Enthusiasm. Hi, welcome to Ageless Enthusiasm. I'm your host, Mindy East, and my guest is Susie Devon, an author, speaker, energetic, and spiritual healer. Welcome, Susie.
Thank you, Mindy. It's great to be here.
So you have written a book called Mastering Self-Care. Tell us a little bit about this book and how you came to write it.
Okay, so Mastering Self-Care is a book that is for everybody. Everybody is a caregiver of somebody. Their children, grandchildren, pets, but ultimately, we need to be caregivers of ourselves. And a lot of times we forget about ourselves in the mix when we're giving away all of our compassion and all of our energy. And so we can give more love and compassion to those around us when we give it to ourselves. And so that starts with how we take care of ourselves, the multiple dimensions of self-care. There's a lot of really good information in the book.
And you had a health crisis that started you on a journey, right?
I did, yes. When I was 25 years old, I was exposed myself to bug bombs that had arsenic in them. And I experienced arsenic toxicity, which was misdiagnosed for many years. However, I did turn to a path of holistic healing to get better. And I'm in perfect health now. It was quite a journey that I'll spare you all of the details, but there is a chapter in the book that has the story.
And I like the fact that you brought up the word energy, because we are spiritual and energy people. We're beings.
Yes.
And so much of the time we forget about that. What are some ways that we can use some of your methods in the book?
Well, you're correct. We are energetic beings to the core. And so there are things that we can do to clear our energy, things that we can do to recenter ourselves, to reground ourselves. One of those that I absolutely love is meditation. So that's something anybody can do. Everybody can do it. And I've actually got some subconscious belief meditations that I've developed called I Am meditations that are very powerful. And that's, I started out doing my work speaking with professional caregivers, with business professionals about burnout and compassion fatigue and how to prevent it. However, what I started to realize when I got going is that everybody has the possibility of experiencing burnout. We can experience that through our work, through parenting, through our career, through even things we enjoy doing if we do too much of it. So burnout is stress with persistence, duration, and intensity. And so that applies to all of us. So that's why I wrote the book, so that there was a method that, something that anybody can look to for a guidance, and that's what the book has. But the meditations are actually a tool that anybody can use as well, that can help us to recenter, reground, connect with ourselves, and to clear the slate, so to speak, so that we can go about our days and about our lives in a much more calm, peaceful, centered place. And they also, though, have healing effects, so that if we're needing a little bit of healing, they can help us do a little bit of inner work and healing.
Well, and I've worked with you. I've had several sessions, and I like the fact that you brought up, the meditation, because even the Bible talks about meditate on the word and also speak of things that are not as though they were. So that's basically what an affirmation is. You're just, you're just manifesting something that you want. What else can you tell us as far as things to do that could help someone?
Okay, so let's go back to the affirmation term. So with affirmations, when you create an affirmation, you want loving, kind words that you would say to yourself, like you would speak to a friend. And you want those to be in the present, like speaking about them as if they're already here, they've already happened, not something you're reaching or grasping towards.
Not in the future,
something
but
you're
now.
owning it. Yes, right here.
It's already yours.
And right now. Yeah, absolutely. And affirmations are very powerful. What I really love about my work is that I do subconscious or facilitate subconscious belief repatterning with people. So if we don't believe, not just consciously, but subconsciously, what we want to be true, then we're creating with our thoughts that are either present or running behind the scenes in ways that we may not want to. So it's really important to be conscious, aware of what we're thinking, what our beliefs are, and in the areas where things aren't going right, that'll show you the areas in your life where you need to do a little bit of work. And we can repattern our thoughts or rewire our thinking, rewire our brain to be more affirmative, what it is that we want to experience rather than what we're currently experiencing. And then when we do the work within ourselves, then that helps us to shift not only ourselves, we release negative energy that we've been carrying, we change our beliefs, we feel more empowered in our lives, and we create the change inside that then reflects and ripples out into the external world. So then people start to treat us differently. They start to treat us, when we treat ourselves with kindness, with loving words and thoughts and compassion, then other people start to treat us more like that as well. And then we also begin to appreciate and respect ourselves so much more that we wouldn't allow somebody to treat us with disrespect. So we get better at creating boundaries and speaking our truth and living it and embodying that.
Right. Well, and we talk to ourselves all the time anyway, whether we admit it or not, but we have this constant monkey chatter going on in our brains. So why not focus on good things rather than bad things?
Right. Where your attention goes, the energy flows. And so it is extremely important, like you said.
You also do workshops for people. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, absolutely. So through my two businesses, Blossoming Heart Center, I facilitate psycho-spiritual workshops. So those are people who are going to be a little bit more open-minded and who are really wanting to dive into their emotional stuff with their beliefs. They really don't bump up against people's spiritual beliefs or religious. People get to have their own beliefs. I'm not trying to impress upon anyone what I want them to believe, because I want them to find their truth within themselves. But when I say that, I mean within themselves, not that which they've been fed or have picked up from their parents, from teachers, from society, but what really resonates with that person, what's in true alignment in their heart and their soul.
Blossoming heart.
Yes, exactly. And so then the other business, Self-Care Specialist, I facilitate continuing education, I facilitate compassion stress management for professional caregivers, stress management for business professionals. That's really how I got started. And then I realized that I needed a bigger container to be able to express all of the other gifts and ideas that I have that really run the gamut and they step outside of the professional realm. I'm not saying it's not professional, because it is, but it's also very personal.
Right. Well, we're going to take a really quick little break and hear from someone else in the industry of care, and we'll be right back in just a few minutes.
All right.
Now we're going to find out some information about longevity training. And to help me do that is Ashley Herring and Tyson Drummond. Welcome, guys, and thank you.
Thank you for having us.
You're with ZenRx. So I'm going to open with you, Ashley. You had this vision after you suffered an injury, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So, yes, 12 years ago, I had started my career as a personal trainer about 8 years before that, and I got hit by a truck on my bicycle. It almost cost me my entire career. So instead of letting that happen, I went and got a lot of education in movement, human movement, myofascial work. I mean, I could name a bunch of things. But anyway, it changed the trajectory of my career forever. So it amplified. It took me from being someone who was just passionate about fitness to realizing that my purpose was to help people heal pain.
And so you mainly work with people over age 50?
Mostly. My youngest client is 5,
Okay.
but my oldest client's 92.
Wow.
Most of my clients, I'd say about 80% of my clients are over 65.
So through motion and support,
Yes.
you take people through their paces so that they can alleviate that pain.
Yes. Whether it's I have an older client who comes in and they're on a walker, they don't want to be, their kids live at home, they don't want them to, they need to learn how to age in place. They need to learn how to be happy again. A lot of times when we retire and we don't move as much, we actually start to become very unhappy. And our brains tend to not allow us to create new memories, which is bad for our brain.
Wow. Ashley, you mentioned longevity training. Help us to know what that would be like for someone, say, in this age group. How do we prepare for life, say, after retirement?
Sure. So I get to take personal training, teaching someone about fitness and how to build muscle correctly. And then I combine that with learning how to be functional. How can they still feed the birds, water their flowers, plant things, not trip over rugs, not have to downsize in their homes. It kind of depends on what level they're at. But longevity training is taking them from the pain that they're in, healing that, and then moving them into something where they're building muscle and learning how to just have longevity.
Tyson, tell us a little bit about ZenRx.
So ZenRx, it's been a battle between me and her trying to figure out what to do with our company. We had a great time in the fitness industry in Wichita, but what we found was when people are still in pain or they're still having function issues where they can't do things that they should be able to do, either go to work or play with their grandkids or just feel like they can move around about their space safely without injury. We found that there's a lot of people out there struggling. They don't know where to go and what to do to keep moving throughout life. And so we wanted to make sure to bring something that was a little different to the table and to keep people happy and healthy, even in retirement ages.
So you do the outside in, and you're the inside out.
Yes, I start
Tell
from
us
the
a
inside.
little bit about your challenges working with someone with their diet.
Sure. So with dieting, a lot of it comes down to all the things that we have to offer in the market. So if you go out shopping, it can be inundating with all kinds of information and marketing, and we're constantly getting advertisements in our phones and on TV. And so I found out that it was just a lot easier to help people take one piece at a time and change their inflammation of the food that they're eating, just to help create some better gut microbiome and a better way to have a relationship with food and not be so stressful. And so I like to help people change those things over time because it's not easy in today's world.
Oh, we have so many mindsets that are ingrained in us, our favorite foods that we don't want to give up. But you've come up with a moon sour product.
I did. So I did come up with something after conversation after conversation. When you tell people they can't have their sweets or their ice cream or their Starbucks, it just breaks down all kinds of things, belief systems.
They cry.
And yes, they cry.
And they decide they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
And so I decided, well, instead of taking everything away, let me create something that people can still have their cake and eat it too.
And be successful in, help them to succeed.
And it helps to give people something they can do really quick. A couple tablespoons in the morning and 2 at night or so on an empty stomach really moves the needle, helps people feel better, digest things better, especially the older clients. They just seem to do a lot better. They've had a lot of diet and nutrition in their life for a longer period of time than we have. And so you can really see them change in a really quick, short period of time.
Right. And Ashley, I heard you speak recently about the benefits of walking. And that's one of the main fundamental privileges of being a grown-up is being able to walk. But a lot of people have issues.
Yes. Yeah. Walking is such a basic necessity, but we can actually trace almost any chronic inflammation issue that's on the musculoskeletal side, so not necessarily the gut, in the body by the way someone walks. So unfortunately, if they drag their feet, they look down when they're walking, maybe they've come to me where it's a little too late. They've already had lumbar, which is your low back or cervical surgeries. It doesn't mean we can't make that better, but unfortunately that does kind of hinder the body's ability to move the right way. But we've got a lot of tools, and so I rewire the brain in order to make whatever's causing them to move incorrectly to go back to the way it was before said injury or fear. A lot of times people are looking at the ground. It is based on fear. They have already fallen down. They're afraid to fall down. Their vision is getting poor. Their memory tends to be poor, and they tend to have balance issues. Balance is in the ear. So we work with hand in hand, and that's called the neural hierarchy.
And so once someone falls, is that true that their mind remembers that fall?
Yeah, in it forever.
You have to move past that.
Until you
You have to
rewire it.
work. Okay, so
Yep.
you work with them.
So I have many cases where someone will come in, they had fallen and broken their hip, and now they're on a walker. They are absolutely afraid to be without that walker. So in the process and the slow and loving manner that I do it, sometimes it takes months, but in the manner that I work and treat with people and give them the confidence, and I help just establishing that connection in their brain that it's no longer needs to feel like it's under a threat. We work on making it safe. And I do that a lot so people get those words because I use them hand over fist, and we use them pretty often. But within just a few weeks, they will be downgraded to like a 4-prong cane, and then 3, and then 1, and then without. I have one client right now, it took us almost a year for her to recover from hip surgery. She absolutely refused to be without that walker for a little while, and now she's actually jumping and doing burpees and things like that, and she's 60-something.
Oh my goodness.
She never thought she'd do that again.
And Tyson, what about one of your success stories?
There was an older gentleman, and you always know it's a success story when there is a male that wants to take something that might make them healthier. Men are the last person in the world to opt in for supplements or cleaner eating, and definitely don't take away red meat from men. But there was a gentleman in his 70s that his gut health had deteriorated quite a bit. He had some struggles with work and retirement. He kind of given up a little bit and started to spend way too much time in the bedroom, TV, giving up. And the wife said, you know what? I've
Turn
got this
around.
stuff that I'm going to give him this moon sour stuff that I found, and this guy Tyson makes it. So got him some moon sour, and it took a couple weeks for him to change, but he's up and out running around. He's losing belt loops, and he drives from clear across the other side of town to come get moon sour from me now. And so the happiness is what you can see in people's faces. It's in their eyes when you can see that they're starting to change and progress. And you know, sometimes it takes a little trust with our loved ones. It's hard to have our moms and siblings, brothers and sisters, or wives, you know, to take chances on something because everybody has something to try. And hopefully, you know, by the process of just giving it a shot, things get better. And I've seen it. It
really breaks our hearts to be the last resorts. But when that person is willing to try, whether it's they've been told they need to do surgeries or pills, don't want to, or that they didn't think their gut would ever change, that was the way it was going to be, and whether they're going from the inside out, the outside in, when you can have someone have a smile like yours walk in after 2 or 3 weeks of being with us, that we've changed their lives already, and they'd been suffering. Some of these people have been suffering for 50, 60 years.
Wow. Well, that's got to be your reward, is seeing that happiness. Well, it made me happy to have you guys on today.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for your time and expertise.
Thank you, Mindy. Thank you, Mindy.
Thank you. And now we're back with Susie Devon again. Susie, they say that success and happiness is an inside job. What do you say to that?
I absolutely agree with that. So we can have all the things. We can have all the physical things that we want, all the toys, all the stuff. We can have everything looking good. But if we don't feel good on the inside, if we're not comfortable in our own skin, in an alignment with who we really are, then none of the other stuff really matters that much. It doesn't feel right. It's like you're putting on a pair of shoes that doesn't fit.
Or wearing a
mask. And you're pretending. Or wearing a mask. And so that is really not the ideal. The ideal is to dive in and to be pure in your intention and to create a life that starts from within you and is an expression of you and your higher self, the best part of you. And you know, part of getting to that place of feeling in your authenticity is being willing to go into the places that don't feel comfortable, being willing to feel and realize that yes, we have the emotions of happiness and joy and enthusiasm and all those emotions that people really want to feel. But we also have the broad spectrum that has grief, anger, shame, jealousy, all of those things. And when those pop up, if we're willing, now I'm not saying this is easy, and that's why I do the work I do, to help people to learn how to do that. But when we can embrace all of our multiple dimensions and embrace them with compassion and love, because we are human, we're doing the best that we can, and nobody is perfect, and I think we're kind of perfect in our imperfection. But when we can embrace and be our friend with companionship and compassion as we're hurting, then we can shift and transform that into what it's like our wounds become our wisdom, or our mess becomes our masterpiece when we're willing to go into those places and touch them with our own compassion and love. In fact, that makes us our own healers. Nobody can really do that for you. We often are looking outside of ourselves for somebody else to fix it, for somebody else to save us, for somebody else to love us, when really the love we most need is for and from ourselves. And when we have that, we have an infinite supply of love to give. And when we are feeling a little like tired, then we pull back and love ourselves and take a break and then step back out when we're ready to. And that's what I mean, that's what the inside job is. Whatever it is that you're emanating is coming from within you. And so if you're perceiving everything outside of you to be all wrong and messed up,
It's not gonna
yes,
work.
I get it. The world is not perfect. But if you can find that place within you that is calm and centered, and can be calm and centered in the midst of a storm even, that's a powerful place to be. That's stepping into your personal power and who you really are.
So you help people unpack, and some of those things go back to childhood maybe, or just a trauma or bad experience, but then you help them to process it, unpack it, and reposition it to something better.
Exactly.
Well, what are some final thoughts that you could leave with our audience?
Well, some final thoughts are, I know I've mentioned this about the inside job, but that work is not always the easiest work to do, that inner work, but is some of the most powerful work that somebody would or could ever do. And it is the biggest way to shift and alter your life is through your thoughts and releasing the baggage and the emotions that we carry. We all have traumas. Even if somebody has a great childhood, has had a great childhood, we all have something. And so I feel very strongly that that's how we shift and we change the planet. It's an inside job, and it starts within us. When we clean up our side of the street, when we do our work, then it affects everything and everyone around us. So if you can imagine everybody, now I know this sounds a little utopian, but if everybody was doing their work and cleaning up up their side of the street, this world would be a much better place. It's like kind of making it better than when you make something better than how you left it. But starting in here, because we matter.
Yes. Oh, I love that. And I think a lot of people might think that self-care is a bubble bath, or laying on the couch, eating something or drinking a glass of wine. That's not the self-care that you're discussing. You're talking about really getting in depth and finding out the root of the issue to help them move on to a better place.
Yes, absolutely. And the thing is we can only go as deep with others as we go within ourselves.
Oh, that's true.
So yes, I suppose all of that could be termed self-care. However, I'm talking about working with what you put in your body and fueling yourself in a way that makes you feel amazing. I'm talking about the way you think, letting go of the stuff that doesn't serve you. I'm talking about having healthy relationships with people and letting go of those that are just not, that are toxic. It's just not having professional self-care. Boundaries. Spiritual self-care. Those who are spiritually minded know it, and that's extremely uplifting. And it even in the book, I go so far as to talk about energy management and clearing. Some people, if you're not really energetically attuned and you don't notice how you're affected by energies around you, then it may not mean it as much. But there are people who are very empathic by nature, and they don't know how to clear themselves. They don't know how to let go of that stuff and to be more in their own energetic sovereignty.
Right.
And so that's really important too.
Well, and we've all experienced someone who was not in a good mood walk into a room, and it's felt. So it's just getting to that higher place and being the best version of you can be.
Exactly.
Well, Susie, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.